What up, world? It's your boy Elijah, man. We back at it, man, with my brother and me sportscast. It's me, you know how we go, you sports nerd. Today we have a special guest, one of my brothers, Anthony Wilson, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's good?
So a little bit about my brother, man. Just tell them a little bit about your credentials, man, just so we can, so they can know that you know your sports, man.
I play ball, basketball. That is, uh, 8 years, 9 years, something like that. Um, so my basketball credentials is nice.
Nice, nice. Okay. I got you, man. But we gonna find out today. You're just stepping into my realm today. Uh,
Okay, I got you. I got
um,
you.
so today, man, we're gonna kick it off with. I want to talk to you, man. Me and you are big Laker fans, so we're gonna just keep it, kind of Laker edition slash
Okay.
basketball edition, man. So I'm gonna ask you, what are you thinking right now, man, with the Lakers, man? In my opinion, man, I think they should be an eighth seed at least right now, with the talent that they do have on the squad. But I kind of want to know, your opinion of what you think, kind of the squad is. We'll go into more detail, after you kind of answer that. But just a general perspective of what you think of the team is right now.
Right now, man, I think the team. I think that they got a lot of talent. I think that they're doing their thing. Slightly underperforming so far this year, but I think that they'll pick it up toward the end of the season. But for the most part, I don't see them as a playoff team right now. I think that they're obviously a few additions away. Once they get those additions, then the sky is the limit. But until then, we're gonna see much more of the same. You
Okay.
know?
So I guess we'll kind of kick that off. You said they're slightly underperforming. So are you saying as in, maybe distractions of what they have as a team, in regards to maybe the trade deadline, maybe in regards to maybe LeVar Ball, or even, maybe distractions or not even maybe distractions, maybe it's the coaching. Do you think it's the coaching? Again, we have a great coach, I feel, but at the same time, is he a great coach? You know what I mean? Is he really performing the way he needs to, or is he still on a learning curve as well?
Well, I think that obviously he's still in the learning curve, but I think that he's done a fantastic job. I don't think that. Yeah, I think that right now, currently, there is a shortage of coaches out there, good ones at least, to say the least. And Luke Walton is holding his own amongst the top tier. I think that he's done a hell of a job so far between last season and this season. And I think that right now he's just playing with minimal talent. So in terms of them making a trade or something before the deadline, I think that that's probably neither here nor there at this point. Based on the roster that they have, they're not really going to get you know equal trade value. So it doesn't really make sense to make a move at this particular point. They might as well sit where they are and figure out next season, which free agents fall where and let the chips fall where they may. And if they are able to pick up a few, then that might change the landscape of the Lakers. But up until that point, man, they might as well just stay where they at.
So again, that then now it hits on again what we've talked about, kind of off camera. Um, how do you feel? If they do a trade, again, my opinion, this was kind of off the when we was talking off air, was if they are gonna trade somebody, I feel like you would trade probably Clarkson and Nash Jr. I would keep Randall no matter what. I feel like him being a stretch four, he can be able to be your five, with your smaller lineups and be able to be able to dribble up the ball, stretch it how you need to. The reason why I would get rid of Clarkson, I could find somebody else like Clarkson. Maybe not somebody as young, but as we see, that has transpired, Lou Williams is averaging 30 points. And I'm not saying Lou will come back to the Warriors, but I'm saying that there's players of that caliber, Jamal Crawford, stuff like that can come off the bench to be able to give you for your second unit. But if I was going to do any trades, again, it would be Clarkson, Nance Jr., but I would have to add the Dang contract. The contract of Dang has to be in there. I'm not getting rid of my younger pieces if I can't add that in there. We don't really have any draft picks, that we could throw in there. If you're gonna throw a second in there, that's fine. But again, if you're trying to trade Clarkson and Nance Jr., that dang contract has to be kind of go with that. And if we can get a big contract to go with that, that expires within a year, or within this first year, then that would be even better. But I think that's just due to the situation. Again, that's the only way that I would trade somebody. If we aren't trading anybody and we're not adding Dang's contract to go with it, I'm not trading anybody to go with that, because I feel like we're wasting our talent where we could just at least play it all off and see what we go into the summer. Because if we can still keep Clarkson in the summer and still add, two max contracts, or even not even max contracts, with players that want to play with each other, that will take, maybe a little bit less than the max contract, that can be able to help you out.
I
You know
got
what I'm
you.
saying? So if you have a Boogie, and a Boogie really wants to play with a Paul George, and he wants to play with the young talent that's there, they might not be able to. I'm not saying they won't take the max, but they might not be in a situation where they need to take the max, because you look at Paul George. Paul George has um, those endorsement deals where he's making extra money, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Again, that's what we can kind of fall back and see what KD does. KD doesn't take the maximum contract, but still getting over $100 million from Nike, so he's good. You know what I'm saying? But he's still getting underpaid of what he should be paid in this NBA. So again, going back to the trade again, do you feel we should? I know you were saying we shouldn't, but kind of what's your mindset on that?
I mean, I don't think that a trade right now is necessary. Obviously, because with the free agent market that we got coming up, I mean, players are going to be able to go where they want. You know what I'm saying? And so for right now, I mean, like you said, the only trade bait that we really have, the valuable pieces, the pieces to the Lakers that mean anything, is Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, and Brandon Ingram. You know what I'm saying? Like, and those are not pieces that you really want to trade. Like you mentioned a minute ago that that Clarkson is similar in sense to Jamal Crawford and
Lou Will,
what's one?
Lou
Yeah, Lou
Will.
Williams, right? Okay, so like, what's the point of trading him? I mean, he's instant offense off the bench. I mean, we ain't seen this type of instant offense since Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams. So it ain't gonna make a difference. You throw him in the trade, and for what? It's not like you're gonna be able to get an equal piece in return. That's
No,
not coming back.
I got you. I
Right.
think, like I said,
So at that point, you're just, like you would just be throwing the towel in. Like if you made a trade and you traded Jordan Clarkson, you think the Lakers are going to be a better or a worse team?
no, they
More than
should
likely
be.
a worse team,
But at the
right?
same time, then that goes back to, again, the same thing when we talked about D'Angelo Russell. I feel, again, talking off camera what we did before, I feel they shouldn't have traded him, because if you wouldn't have traded him, imagine the offense that you would have had. You would have had him. You would have him with offense, we could have averaging 20 points this year. With him being able to be more of a leader, a more vocal leader. Yes, he's not in the light of the Laker, how you would say, the Laker market, where you have a whole bunch of media and everything on attention on you, compared to what you are in Brooklyn, where really nobody is going towards you because everybody's with the Knicks. Kind of that situation. But you would have had him. You would have had Brandon Ingram. If you were to did you probably wouldn't have did even if you wouldn't have did that trade, you still would have had. You could have drafted maybe a Tatum coming off the bench, whatever. You still would have been able to get Kuzma at the 27th or 28th pick. You still would
But
have
I
been
mean,
able to
that's
get.
all hypothetical and neither here nor there at this point. You know what I'm
I mean, you're
saying?
right,
Like,
but I'm just saying the trade of what you were saying. I think, again, you
but I
got rid
mean,
of.
D'Angelo Russell, I mean, had done absolutely nothing for the Lakers. I mean, aside from summer league, and let's just be real, like Alonzo Ball. Like Lonzo Ball, he was a bigger attraction in the summer league, if you really want to call it how it was. You know what I'm saying? Like D'Angelo ain't done nothing but tear the locker room apart. And I mean, at that point, you might as well get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Like if you've already lost the trust of your teammates, I mean, if nobody can trust you, then what? I mean, come on, man. Like this is a team effort. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like
I
these
mean, I
players all got
think
to play together. And
true.
Lonzo, I mean, at least he creates a culture in which case other players want to play with him. D'Angelo, people were like, "Yo, I gotta like watch what I say to you, because ain't no telling." You know what I'm saying? Like you might put me on blast, and you might have a hidden camera somewhere around here. Like, come on,
I mean,
like
true.
that.
Like I said, there's parts to it, because at the same time, I think this free agency, I think Julius Randle will go to Brooklyn. That's just kind of my assumption. I think he
Yeah,
will go to
I mean, I
Brooklyn.
doubt that he goes to Brooklyn, man. I mean, there's so many other offers out there that are a lot more attractive than Brooklyn. Brooklyn isn't a contender. Brooklyn isn't going to
I
be
mean, but
nothing.
if Brooklyn is offering a max contract to him, he's gonna
Yeah,
go.
but I mean, okay, let's just keep it 100. Like, a lot of people are going to offer him a max contract because a lot of people got money to throw around.
Yeah,
So if they got money to throw around, I mean, he could get a max contract from anywhere. You know,
he could.
I mean, he could get a max contract from anywhere, from anywhere. You know, I mean, like shit, the Rockets could throw a max contract at him. You know what I'm saying?
If
Like,
they have the money. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, like Chris Paul still under contract through next year. James Harden just signed an extension. So I mean, the salary caps keeps going up based on the TV deal. So it's not like, I mean, and for him a max contract. I mean, this is going to be his first contract after his rookie season. Anybody could toss him a max contract, man. Anybody.
like I said, it's I again that's one player that I don't think that I would get rid of. Again, the only way
I mean,
I'm
and I
getting rid
wouldn't
of,
get, and I wouldn't, and I wouldn't get rid of him either,
yeah,
right?
I
That's
guess.
what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to let him go. Clarkson, you're not going to be able to get anything really in return for him. You know what I'm saying?
But my question to you is, if you're able to get rid of Clarkson, but you're adding the Dan contract in there, so now you're creating double cap space because you're getting rid of Clarkson's contract plus Dan's contract.
The only problem, and I totally understand where you're coming from. The only thing is that you still got to make the money match. You know what I'm saying? So like the contracts have to be even. You know,
Yeah,
so the player that you get in return has to be able to equal both of those contracts. Now the Dane contract is a hefty one. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if you can get, but who is really making that deal? Like Dang ain't even played this. Like when was the last time he played? He
play
ain't played in
last
a
yeah
minute.
yeah play
You
last
know what I'm
season. He
saying?
didn't play last
He
season.
ain't
And
even
again,
played this
no.
season. So who's taking on the contract of a player that is not even available?
True, but I mean, at the same time, the reason why he's not available again in his defense would be he hasn't been played. It's not saying he doesn't want to play, but he's not just in Luke's, I mean, that core group and what Luke wants to play with. You know what I'm saying? Again, if you we both look at the reports.
But if he would add value to it, but if he would add value to the squad, then they would play him.
I think again, Luke wanted to stay with his young core, and I think with Dang in there, I don't think again that it throws it all off. I think
What is
because
Dang? What is Dang? 36 now?
no, Dang is he's in his early 30s. He's not 36, in his early 30s. Early
Let me.
30s.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah,
But go
in his
ahead. Go
in his
ahead.
in his early 30s. I mean, again, you have. I mean, what he would have been a shooter. I mean, that's not really his style. His style is to play on the ball. I mean, I don't know, man. I think Dang would have been a better set as long as we can get rid of his contract. I think it will see fit. In regards to Lonzo, man, I think Lonzo brings a
Okay,
good.
you're right. Early 30s.
Yeah,
He's 32.
I think
But all I'm still, you know what I'm saying? This guy being 32, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he's already, like at this point, like on a downturn of his career, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to play any better than he played in Chicago. So, I mean,
again.
like
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
if he can't even get out there and compete with them boys on the Lakers having the youngest squad that they got and being as mediocre as they are, if he's not being able to make an impact at 32 years of age, who wants him?
I think
For the
somebody.
amount of money that he's making, who wants him?
But at the same time, you can say the same thing with Timothy Mozgov. Not, I mean, again, I
Who
always
wants
said
him?
again, but Brooklyn took him
Who,
on and took on that contract. Is what I'm saying to get Russell. Is what I'm saying. The same thing
and
of
when was
what
the last time? When was the last time? When was the last time he made a splash of Brooklyn? Like when was the
again.
last
I
time you
don't watch
remember looking at?
again. I
When
don't
when
watch
was the
Brooklyn.
exactly? So, but when was the last time you turned on Sports Center and you seen Timothy Mozgov had a hell of a game?
Again, I don't watch Brooklyn to give you that assessment to be like they
But you
don't.
watch Sports Center though,
I
yes?
watch Sports Center, but I don't watch Sports Center enough for me to be like, oh, Brooklyn's on. Let me be able to say what was the box
Listen to me.
what was the box score of Timothy Mozgov? Come on,
Check
man.
it out though. But when it comes to, like let's just say hypothetically, right? But when it comes to Draymond Green, you might turn on
But
Sports Center and
that's the squad in which they're on. Like, okay.
okay, so let me
No,
give
right,
you
no,
okay,
right here, right
okay,
here. Okay,
all right.
assessment. The only reason why we got a ESPN alert today on Andre Drummond is because he had 20 and 20. Other than that, Andre Drummond is still averaging. Andre Drummond is still
When
having,
has Mozgov ever given anybody 20 and 20? That's what I'm
but
trying to
but
say.
but
Is
that's
that even then he's not going to give you 20 and 20, and because
but
he ain't going
even
to give you
when
20
but
and
that's what I'm
20.
saying. Even when Andre Drummond isn't giving you 20, he's still giving you again a nice core of points and rebounds that we're not talking about because
This is
they're in a
very
small market.
true.
That's all I'm saying. Again, they're in Brooklyn. He could be doing a decent over there, but I wouldn't
Okay,
know because he's in a small market. He's not a
check this out though.
Porzingis.
Okay, he's not Porzingis, but would you say he's better than Brooke Lopez?
When Brooke Lopez is over there, how many times do we hear Brooke Lopez balling? I didn't hear too much
Brooke
about Brooke
Lopez
Lopez.
hit 6 threes yesterday.
Again, how many times did we hear about Brooke Lopez when he was in Brooklyn? We didn't hear too much about Brooke because of why? Because of the market that he's in. That's all I'm trying
Yeah,
to
but
say.
he was also playing with different players. You know what I'm saying? When Brooke Lopez was there, I mean, he was playing with like Mozgov right now is
It's
playing
playing with
with
nobody.
is yeah, exactly. D'Angelo
And Brooke
Russell, you
Lopez
know.
was playing with nobody. Same thing. Same thing.
All right, okay.
Same thing.
Well, he was playing with let me see. What's my man's name?
Who you gotta call somebody phone a friend because
I
that's
need
the
to phone a friend. I need to but Brooke Lopez ain't I mean, you know, but that's because they wasn't letting him shoot it. Obviously, my man's can shoot it.
I mean, he was. I know. Actually, he was. He was shooting. He wasn't shooting as much.
The last
Not as
year,
much. Not as
the
much.
last year.
Yeah, he was. He was letting that thing go, but not as much. I'll say that. I'll definitely give you that. But we're gonna wrap that topic up. All I'm saying is, again, I think
Side
I
note:
yeah.
Lou Williams career high 50 points right now against the
And
Warriors.
Steve Kerr called that before the game even happened. He said he was going to drop 50 points on us. But
Crazy.
side note, since you just brought up the Warriors, anybody can beat. Do you think anybody can beat them in a 7-game series?
I mean, I do. I think that there are a few teams that could beat them. I mean, obviously Cleveland. You know, I mean Cleveland's team on paper. Like when you really just think about it and break it down. Like if you look at their roster from top to bottom, Cleveland's team on paper, it should be smacking the Warriors in the head every
I,
single night. Like
I mean, if I was playing 2K, that's who I would. If somebody picked
it
the
would be a
Warriors, I'll
sweep,
pick Cleveland.
really. Right? Yeah. Like I mean, if you pick the Warriors, I gotta pick Cleveland
Cleveland, yeah.
because
Only way that's going to match it out.
I mean, come on, you know. But then there's the Rockets. Obviously, I think the
Not a
Rockets.
fan. Not a fan.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan at all. But I mean, but the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the boys play, you know, and
But
with James Harden hitting the way he hits, and Chris Paul's playmaking ability. I mean,
but
they
how?
got the pieces. That's all I'm saying. Is they got the pieces. You asked me. The question was, is there anybody that could beat the Warriors in a 7-game series?
I mean, again,
The
the
Rockets
Rockets.
got the
Okay,
pieces.
but the
Do
Rockets
I
also
think that it
last
will
year had a
happen?
good team as well.
Yeah, but the team. Do you think that the Rockets team from last year improved or got
No,
worse?
definitely they improve.
They
Anytime
improved.
no, I
Okay,
said that.
so
Anytime you
that's what
get
I'm
Chris
trying to say.
Paul on the squad, he's going to be improved. But we seen what
Now,
happened when you got to the playoffs and you had everything, even with Chris Paul in the playoffs.
but I
Same
also
thing.
think that James Harden has gotten a hell of a lot better as a player
It's the
between these
same.
3 seasons.
Come on, bro. It's
Nah,
this from last
okay.
year. From last
2 years
year.
ago,
No, 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 no. I'm talking about
2 years
last year.
ago.
I'm
Okay,
last
so
year.
last year. So, but he has gotten better from last year, has he not?
He does the same movements. I'm going to drive. It's gonna act like you're gonna hit me, and I'm gonna go to the free throw line. That's
I'm
it.
gonna ask you a couple of questions, right? James Harden, last year, was he in the running for MVP?
This year, same thing. He's in the running
Okay,
for
I'm
MVP.
just asking. Last year.
And we talking about
Last
last
year.
year. Yeah, last year he
Last
was.
year. Okay. And then he lost to who? I'm gonna just ask you some questions, just answer.
The triple double man.
Okay,
Come on.
right. So he lost. Okay, and then the year before that,
I don't even know who won it the year before that. KD? KD won
it was Steph.
Steph. And
It was Steph.
And Steph should have won it that year.
And James Harden was the runner-up.
Again, James Harden
Again,
is doing.
okay.
But
So
that's what
now,
I'm saying. Okay, but
look.
that's
So
what I'm
I'm just
saying.
asking you a few questions. Okay, so now that's just it. I'm asking you a few questions, right? So last year, James Harden was the runner-up. He was the runner-up to Russell Westbrook.
Can
right?
we get to this year?
The year before that, he was the runner-up to Steph.
Gotcha.
This year, do you see anybody beating him for the MVP trophy this year?
I don't.
Anybody?
I don't. I
Not at
mean,
all,
even that's what I'm
right?
saying. Even last year, you could have argued that he
We
should have had it.
halfway through, yeah, but we halfway through, yeah, but there was an argument.
Yeah,
You could
this year
argue that he should have had it. But this year, is there an argument? No,
there should
absolutely
not be an
not.
argument. But at the same,
Hands
I know
down.
what I'm saying, and that's the same thing. What we
So
can
my
say with
man's is a lot better this year than he has been the
no,
previous two
no,
seasons.
don't give me no. That
His
just
numbers are better. His numbers are better. His team is playing better.
you
They've got a
doing
much
this.
better record.
I just don't. Again, people ask me, well, would you want them Lakers? No, I wouldn't. I don't want for
Dog,
me.
James Harden is a baller.
I
Like,
didn't.
okay,
That's not okay. That's not what
if
I'm
you are a
saying.
Laker fan, then you should be all about us acquiring the best talent possible.
Again,
When
the
you really
reason
think about
why
it,
I'm talking about just the way he balls. The one thing I will respect when it comes to LeBron, I respect the way he plays the game. Again, LeBron can beat you if he's going to drive, he's going to take it. It's even though he complains a lot when it comes to the refs, he doesn't necessarily need the refs.
who doesn't, dog?
No, but he. Oh, okay. Let me get
Who
to my point.
doesn't?
Let me get to my point. He doesn't
Okay.
necessarily need the ref, is what I'm saying. James Harden, as we seen when they played, who was at when they played the Clippers on, I think was that Christmas Day or the day before Christmas. Same thing. If you don't have the refs in your pocket, you're not gonna win. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that is a skill. That's what people fail to
That's not a
realize. Like,
skill. It's
dog,
yo,
check it.
oh man,
Getting to drawing fouls is a skill, like anything else. This is why people used to sell calls. This is why people used to flop. This is why the NBA had to impose this $5,000 a flop rule, right? Like
But so the
because they
offense.
would influence the refs, and the people who influence the refs, if you influence the refs, you influence the game, right? You
So
influence the game. So now James Harden being a 91% foul shooter, right? Is it not in his best interest to go to the lane and then get fouled and go
okay,
to the line
okay.
where he knows he's going to shoot 90%?
So let me ask you this. Same question you just asked me. Does he or does he not flop on the offensive end? In regards, well,
Is it a flop if they call it?
hold on. In regards to him throwing his hands when he goes up when we talk about going in the lane and he drives. Again, what you just said in regards to flopping on the defensive end, people were calling it. But you called it a $5,000 fine because you were faking. You weren't really that. So you're doing the same thing on the offensive end, which you should be fined the same way, is what I'm saying. Same thing.
Yeah, but if you're not being fined, that rule hasn't been implemented. So
But it should be, is what I'm saying.
hate the player, don't hate the player, hate the game. You know what I'm saying? The rule is like that because it's like that. And until they change that, why would you not use the rules to your advantage if they were creating a positive advantage for you over your opponent? Why would you not? Who doesn't do that? Before, it was like that on the defensive end, and players were utilizing that to their advantage. And it worked. And now James Harden is doing the same exact thing, except on the offensive end.
So you're telling me, okay, so you're telling me this. Let me wrap up this last question. You're telling me that if James Harden didn't have what he has now in regards to, say, for example, they took away, like they did with the flop, they took away it on the offensive end now. You're telling me that he would still be as efficient and he would be the same scorer that he is now if that rule wasn't implemented. His numbers would be the same.
So I think that James Harden is a smart enough player that he would adapt to whatever the rules suggested.
But that's not the question. That's not the question.
Yes. Okay. So I think that he would find a way to score. James Harden is a scorer. There are certain players in this league that they just score and they score well, and that is what they do. James Harden is one of those players. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you change the rules, then James Harden will adapt his game to be able to still be able to beat you. It's the same. Like James Harden, when I look at James Harden to me is a lot like Kobe, a lot like Jordan, a lot like scorers that we've seen in our time, that have come, and no matter if the rules change, they just adapt. Their game adapts. You can't tell me that you think that he's not a smart enough player that he'd be able to adapt to whatever the rules suggested.
So what
now, right now, he's just kind of playing his part. If he goes to the lane and he throws his hands and he gets a foul call, then if he knows he's finna get the foul call, he's finna keep doing that. If he don't think he's finna get the foul call, then guess what? James Harden, his step back is nasty.
I never said it wasn't. But
Okay,
but
so then he would
but what
shoot
I
that
but
shot a
what
lot
but what
more
okay,
then.
yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't think he would be as efficient as how Steph is behind the line.
I
How
mean,
KD
Steph
okay,
is
okay, hold on,
extremely
hold on, hold
efficient.
on, hold on. As Steph is behind the line, as KD is on the perimeter, or KD behind the line, or if you want to even flash in, you can talk about LeBron being efficient with driving without the foul calls. Again, I don't think that. Don't get me wrong. I think his game, he still would be averaging.
So
He
yeah, I'm
still,
about to say.
he
So what do you
still,
think his
he
point per game would
still,
drop?
he still would give you 20. I don't think I don't see him averaging in the high markers of what he is right now, averaging
So he
28,
goes to the
29
lane and a
points.
lot of check it. He goes to the lane and a lot of those are fouls. They are fouls. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them are fouls. Let's be real. They are
No, they're
fouls. Like
not. Yo,
a
if you
lot of. So you think the refs are just like he's just got it so good
all
that
you gotta do
he
is
goes to the
yell. All
lane.
you gotta do is yell and throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care.
Okay, check it. If that was the case, then wouldn't everybody else in the league be doing the same thing? I mean,
Everybody that's
others
a
try,
star does it.
often imitated, never
Everybody
replicated.
that is a star does it, but they don't use it as
Okay,
their crutch. Is what I'm saying.
dog. Draymond kicked the dude in the nuts because he was doing the same exact thing, flailing his arms in the air, trying to
And
get
we
a foul call,
and we seen
right?
what happened,
And they
right?
didn't call it, in that game, right? Okay, because he didn't sell the call the same way James Harden would have. Now, don't get upset with James Harden for being a better salesman than Draymond in that particular sense, because that's exactly what's happening. Like you said, all the other stars are doing it. The problem is James Harden is getting the call. Why is he getting the call and others are not?
Again, if you look at LeBron gets the call when he drives, the majority
He
of
doesn't get the call all the time. I see LeBron in the press conferences whining, crying,
and
talking
90
about how he goes to the lane and he
90% of the
goes to the.
time, 90% of the time when LeBron drives, especially if we go to playoff terms, if he drives, he is going to get that foul call.
Because he's getting fouled 90% of the
Again,
time. That's the difference.
if somebody chest bumps you and they have their hands in the air and they're not waving them like they just don't care, but they're going straight up in the air, like DJ Khaled would say, you're gonna call that a foul? Yes, the majority of the time they're giving them that foul
Dude,
because
it's
there's a
just
chest
because
bump.
he's taking advantage of the defensive player not knowing what the hell they are doing or how to play defense. You know
We're
what I'm
talking
saying?
about no,
Like
no.
even when James, like if James Harden was playing against the Warriors, you know what I'm saying? He goes to the lane, Draymond goes straight up. You know what I'm saying? He's not getting that foul call. He's not going to the line nearly as much against the teams that play better defense.
I
It's
mean,
the teams. It's the teams that often reach. Like he's taking advantage of the fact that you're reaching. If
again,
you
you
reach,
reach, you gotta
if
be
you
taught.
reach,
You gotta be
if you
taught.
reach, if you reach against James Harden, he's getting 2 points, buckets. He's going to the line. He's about to drop two on you.
I just okay.
That's
I
just
get you.
it.
I get you. Again, I just don't feel. I feel like
So he's taking advantage of the ignorance of the defensive player. Like, and that's what I'm saying. That is a skill. That is
again,
a
you're
skill.
right. I'm not knocking that it's not a skill. Again, you my question is would I want him on my team? No. I just wouldn't. His
You want to
pedigree,
acquire the best talent regardless.
again,
You know what I'm
you're
saying? Like
right,
no
but
matter
he's not
if he came
one of them.
if he came to the Lakers, dog, you would embrace him
I wouldn't.
like yes you would,
And
dog. You would
even
embrace.
okay, but
You
that's
didn't
just like
like
if LeBron
you didn't
came.
like
If
dog. You
LeBron
didn't
came, I
like
still wouldn't embrace him.
you wasn't a Dwight Howard fan, but when Dwight Howard came to the Lakers, I remember you was like, yeah, so this is our year, right?
First of all, never said that.
Oh,
Not with Dwight. Never said that. Let's get that
you
straight.
were like, this
Hey,
is our
on.
year because this is
Hey,
Dwight.
hey, we
Like
putting this on.
Dwight
On
and
no,
Steve
no,
Nash. Okay, we
no,
got the
no,
squad now,
no. What I
right?
was saying, what you could have said was, I could have said that about Steve Nash. I was like, man, Steve Nash and Kobe, man, this could work out.
Yeah, but
Not Dwight Howard.
It was the tandem because without Steve Nash, we were saying the same thing when CP3 before they nixed the CP3
First of
trade.
all,
We was like,
CP3. First of
yo,
all, if CP3 and Kobe run the same team, we don't have to go through that, man. As Laker fans, I'm not about to go through
because
that
we
hurt
would have
again.
had more talent than any of our competitors. That's the key.
We
So
would
no
have
matter
won.
what, like if you
Kobe would have had
if
seven
do you
championships.
think other players want to come and play with James Harden? If James Harden came to the Lakers, do you think that would help entice or do you think that would nix LeBron's chances of coming to LA per se? Hypothetically, right?
I mean,
Like
it's not. I mean, people are
he
gonna
would much
again.
rather come
People
and
are gonna
play
want to
with
play with James. I get it. Like, don't get
he
me
would
wrong.
much rather he would
But he just
anybody would
doesn't.
much rather come
Again,
and play with James Harden.
pedigree wise, I just don't. I don't see him progressing in which we need him in the playoffs.
I want to create the pedigree for the Lakers that it's a winning pedigree, like players that like that have the most talent, that put their effort out there, that win. You know, like
I, I
like
mean, I
I'm
get
not
you.
really a huge fan of Russell Westbrook coming to the Lakers, but if he were to come, you think I'd be mad? Probably not, because Russell Westbrook is talented as fuck.
I got you. I mean, like I said, if again, it is what it is, man. We're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap it up. But all I'm saying is, man, hey, as a Laker fan, man, do I want to see James Harden? No. But the question was, we didn't even answer the
He's
question.
probably not coming.
Again, yeah, we know. Again, the question
Right.
was, do I see anybody beating the Warriors in 7? No. I don't see
Not in
anybody beating
seven.
not in 7.
No.
I don't see anybody beating them in 7. I see
But
them
I
beating
think
them
that
in
there
a
are a
game.
couple other players. I think that there are a couple teams out there, and those two teams that I mentioned, the Cavs and the Rockets.
And
Those would be the only
yeah,
two teams that I think would even stand a chance
and the
remotely.
Cavs, I think again, they're gonna go 6 or 7. We know that series, if they meet in the championship, which they should, it's gonna go 6 or 7 again.
I don't know. I think you'd have to wait and see how injuries play out. This
I
is a
mean,
long season.
IT's averaging 18 just
It's
by
a
the three
long
games at the
season.
end. You're right.
It's
But
a
I'm just
long
saying,
season.
with two games back, he had 18 and 19.
If LeBron is anything less than 100%, you know what I'm saying, it might be a sweep.
But you see, I mean, you seen exactly what IT did by himself with Boston.
If
So again,
LeBron is anything less than
but
100%
he's not going to
come
be
playoff
100%.
time,
We're going into playoffs. Nobody's 100%. Nobody's 100%.
but if he's anything less than 100%,
I'm just
it's
saying.
it's very likely that it could be a sweep. I mean, they won 5 games last year, and it should have been a sweep. Let's keep that real.
Yeah,
And
that's
LeBron
true.
was at like 90%. So if he's anything less than 100%, 6 or 7, that could be a stretch. You know what I'm saying?
We'll
That's
see,
all
man.
I'm saying.
We'll see. Well, man, we're gonna wrap this up, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. We can finally film what we talk about on the phone and have all these dang
Right, right.
conversation that we have, man. So I appreciate you coming on. Everybody that is tuning on, man, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you haven't, subscribe, tell your friends about it. We appreciate you guys, man. But on that note, man, we say, hey, we out. VJ probably will be back next week, man. We'll get back to it, man. But all right, man, I'll see y'all later.